If I look at a lot of the motorhomes built in our country here, South Africa, they're bulky. You can't get them in
You're
a
not going
container.
to get far.
You can't. There's a lot of fiberglass, so you've got to watch where your overhang is at the back. So they're perfect for what they're intended and what they're built for. They're not built to be on off. They're built to go on good dirt roads, good tar roads, fantastic. And they give you a lot of luxury and comfort and space. We're looking more for what a lot of the Europeans build, which is a vehicle that you can live in more of. Now the Troopy has always been a favorite vehicle to live in and live out of. You know, when you look, here's one, it's got a different type of roof that pops straight up.
This one's done a few Ks.
Yeah, this one has. It's a great truck. But I love that because, you know, a truck like that, you can see it's been used, it's been loved, it's had a few owners, you know. But most of them that we get here in South Africa, the roof conversions are a clamshell type roof conversion. Yeah. And it's a great conversion, it gives you a lot of space, but it's quite narrow. So as much as you live inside a standard vehicle, it doesn't give you a lot of movement in there. You know, you really got to be, you long periods of time, you can make it work, but is it as comfortable? No, it's not. It's a compromise. How do we make it slightly better? Well, I guess the options are out there already. You know, take a vehicle that's like the Toyota Land Cruiser as your base, because we know the footprint for the Land Cruiser, spares, repairs, servicing, support, reliability. That track record's already there. So don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly.
Okay. All we're going to do now is we're going to look at how and build something on the back of that that's absolutely light, and give you the space and comfort you want, has the weight in the right places, and you know really can give you that flexibility. So you know I can put it in a container, I can live inside it. Nice to have a toilet inside for the privacy of
Being able to get from the driver's seat into the back.
Yeah,
Is but that's where converting a Land Cruiser, extending it and putting a pod on, you still can't solve that.
Well, you can connect them, and people do. How necessary is that?
Sometimes if you just need to get the hell out of Dodge, you know.
People say to me, they say, well, what if it's a dodgy scenario?
Yeah.
I can promise you, I can't count on one hand where people have come back to me and said, you know what, I'm really glad I could get from my roof into my driver's seat because I had to drive away. Because if you put yourself in that situation, you've either been forced into it due to unforeseen circumstances, or you really weren't, you were negligent in what you chose. So I look and I think, that's not a good enough reason to have that. To have a cab which is contained, and to have a living area which is contained, can absolutely work. It's about the economics, and it's about the weight and getting everything that's properly put in the right position. So if we took a double cab Land Cruiser, it's a very popular vehicle. It can carry more loads, leaf springs on the back, it's got a more load carrying capacity. And you do the chassis extension to give you that extra extension. They're being done. Andrew's done one, a lot of people have done them. That's not new. People do it. Okay. Now you're looking and saying we can build something we can go in that's reasonable luxury, nice comfort, but it's still very simple, and it's light.
But
light is key.
You're talking about comfort. The only gripe I have with the Land Cruiser is the clutch. Is this like after, if you're not used to it, your knees hurting after a couple of days?
You haven't driven enough Land Rovers.
Yeah, I'm too much of a city kid. Automatic 79 series, is that the holy grail?
You know, you don't get the automatic.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why was that never an option?
It's not designed. There are companies who do the automatic conversion. They're not cheap. Okay, it's not that it's not right. It was designed as a utilitarian work vehicle. Okay, and if you had to look and say, could you build a camper on a car like that, 105 series, be it petrol, be it diesel? Could you modify that into a camper? Yes, that would be amazing.
Chopping one of those bad boys up.
They do them. I've got a good friend in Germany who does it. There are a lot of companies who do it, and I think it's a great option to build a vehicle like that. But it's got to be costed out properly. It's got to be light. You know, if it gets too expensive, you narrow down the market too much for people who can afford it. And you go from here. Okay. So I mean, you imagine when you've got a vehicle
With a 300 extension.
you're going to need to extend the chassis. So the beauty about a vehicle like this, you've got coil suspension.
Yeah.
You can get it in an automatic. You've got this area here where you can load.
Well, that is a big area.
It's a big area, but more importantly, this is where you want to access the equipment you need to carry. Spares, repairs, recovery, tools, all that
Could
sort
you
of
put
kit.
your fridge, all that here, and then have that? Could you have that as a sleeping
No,
area in the back?
I think if you were going to do anything, I normally say the driver's side is sort of looking after the vehicle. So I like to, if you're a driver, you've got to repair the wheel, you want to get your jack out. You need recovery kit, you get that. So this is the vehicle side. The middle I like to keep for camera gear. You know, when you're in the vehicle and you're driving and you're on safari, there's never enough space in the front. You've always got a camera balance on your lap or on the dash, or it's just painful and it damages your gear. So if you can lean back, and a lot of the times I build a camera box that you can just lean back and you can have your camera bag sitting on top of the box. You can grab your gear, you can use it, you can drop it back in, drive off, and then you can put that camera bag into a lockable steel box and lock it so it's safe. Okay. Now that's the middle space. The roof space is the dead space in any vehicle, and you'll see in most of the vehicles that we build, we put a roof net here.
Would you put a pop-up on this?
Well, I would say if we were going to do a
suppose it's more
conversion,
live-in, so-
this would be basically a whole camper body on the back.
Yeah. Ah.
Okay, and if you can put a camper body on the back of this, and you've still got your weight forward here, so water, fuel, everything. The camper part needs to be two people to lift it up and put it on, because if it's that light, practically speaking, you've got your weight down to.
So you got the heavy artillery in the middle, and you have a light little camper pit that you sleep in at the back.
You actually almost don't want, even spare wheels become a problem.
Yeah.
You've got to look at where you're putting the spare wheels and how do you replace them, because wheels and bumpers over the back are a real problem.
I had an interesting question. Somebody saying newbie saying 2 weeks spare wheels is overkill. How many times have you used your second spare wheel?
It's not a case of how many times you use it. It's a question of like insurance. How often do you use your insurance? You only need to use it once. Now, most times, if someone said to me, I'm just going to take one spare wheel, I'd be saying to them, as long as you could carry a good repair kit, tire levers, you can patch tires, you can fix them, you still massively reduce the options of, if I destroy a tire and I can't use it, I don't have a spare. So I always go with 2. I've on a number of times used 2 spares, okay? And then the worst case is you're in the middle of nowhere, you've ripped a tire apart, you've shredded it, okay? Now imagine you lose the air in a tire. The reason we put a tire monitor on is to try and reduce that possibility. Because once your air's gone out the tire and the weight of the car drives on that tire and it's the rim against the road and no air in the tire, you destroy the tire. You can't use it. You've crushed that sidewall, you've damaged, no more often than not, you've shredded. So for me, it's much more important that you actually carry 1 spare tire and, if at the very least, a second carcass.
Exactly.
And then have the ability to change it with tire levers.
Precisely.
But if you can't do that yourself, 2 spare wheels. You'll only use it once, and you'll thank yourself here the second.
Amen.